Today, we're going to work on our Wangari Maathai collage some more. It's inspired by the illustrations in this book. The illustrations in this book have so much organic line, beautiful detail, and plants, shapes, colors that are inspired by African fabric. This is an example of the awesome fabric that is designed in Africa. And a Kenyan woman like Wangari Maathai would have had all of these choices. A lot of them are based on the plants and the wildlife of Africa. Look at the shapes, colors, details. So after you've drawn and cut out your hand, we're gluing it to the washed background. Notice I'm wiping away any little extra boogers of glue stick so that the hand will glue nice and flat. I glued each finger and around the outside of the shape. I'm positioning it so that it can go to the edge of the paper, and I press and hold. The longer you press and hold, the better. Pressing each part. So here you can see that there is part hanging off because I wanted it to go off the edge. And I am snipping off that bit of overhang. Now I can begin drawing with white colored pencil or another light color to draw the roots that come into the hand and start as the base for this picture. Each root branches many times, just like the branch of a tree. You can work on these more and more as you go. Coming out from the fingertips, you can use a variety of media. Here I started with a thin colored pencil line to do an organic flowing shape. I'm paying attention to how much space each finger will have so that I can fill my whole artwork with tons of detail, lines, different patterns and shapes. Here's another way you can use colored pencil. You can start with one color and then switch out and add segments of another color. Don't just stick with one way of doing things. You can try and switch things up for your art, and always look at the book and look at the fabric for inspiration. This is showing how I use one tiny amount of glue on any little shapes I want to stick down. You can cut out shapes, flowers, leaves, bits of tree branch, seed pods, and stick and glue them down. Just one little bit of glue works to keep things down. And then there's needle and thread. So here you can see I put thread a little bit through a needle with a knot on the end. I started mine kind of the hard way, where I found where I wanted to poke through from the back. You definitely want to start from the back. But I figured out later on a trick that would make this easier. So this shows me coming up from the back and then creating a stitch by going back down through the paper. Now that it's time-lapsing, you can see I finally got the drift. I could create my holes ahead of time. I want to spend more time in front of the paper than behind the paper. So those behind the paper stitches are small and the in front of the paper stitches are large. Then I tape down the ends. You can also use a thin paintbrush to create a flowy organic line from your fingertips. Paintbrushes seem like they were custom made to make leaves and other shapes that look like the plants that Wangari Maathai would have been planting. See how thin you can go with your brush, and be sure and choose a very skinny brush. It just tends to look a little bit prettier than maybe marker. So here's your choices: watercolor, sewing, colored pencil, marker, cut paper, and cut tissue paper. It's all up to you. I just want to see how you fill this collage with all kinds of ideas, shapes, lines, and colors.